Okay, so I have 10:01. My name is Carmen Irizarry. I'm the training specialist for the Caribbean. And I have today with me Jorge Medina. Some of you may know him. He's training specialist for Florida East and West. Jorge?
Yes, welcome everyone.
We appreciate you being this morning with us. Today we're going to be talking about the STAC classes and end-of-course scenarios. This is part of the WebEx meetings that we're having monthly, so I hope you enjoyed this session. First of all, let's do some housekeeping. Please make sure that you have your cell phones or phones on mute. If you have any questions, we have the chat box available. At the end of the presentation, we're going to be passing attendance, okay?
And if some of you are on the line but we're not able to get into the WebEx application, don't worry. We're going to be repeating everything that's on the slide out loud. So you'll be able to join in and ask any questions when we open up the lines for the questions and answer session.
So what's in the agenda? We are going to talk to them today about STAC classes, basically what they are, how do we deliver them, and what changes have happened with STAC classes. Also, we're going to talk about end-of-course final scenarios in regular classes, STAC blending learning, and STAC regular classes. So what are STAC classes courses? Well, the term STAC refers to a scheduling approach to include more than one offering combination. And this is done to basically fill out seats and have the more participants during a class. So basically, when you have a course, the most comprehensive course is made of several components. So we can section it off, and the customer can register for those components that they need. As an instructor, you will teach all the participants at the same time, but the participants will complete only the part that they enrolled for. When they completed, for example, CPR for the adults with the AED, they will leave the course and you will stay with the participants that will also have first aid. We can deliver STAC classes by many ways. One of them would be blended learning, regular community courses, or we can also deliver them as full services. Blended learning is a way of learning that we have created where the person will take the lecture part in their home through the internet, will do a written test in the computer, and then will come into the classroom just for the practice part of their learning. Those classes can be stacked any way the scheduler decides to. And basically, here in this example, you can see that we have a person, an instructor, who's going to be scheduled for 5 hours of teaching, and he will conduct 4 classes during that period. The first class being from 3 p.m. to 5:30 p.m., he would conduct the CPRO, the CPR for the professional rescuer. After that, he'll have half an hour to clean up and set up for the next classes. That would be the lay responder, adult and pediatric, first aid, CPR, and AED. The students that are on that registered on that course will be in the classroom from 6 p.m. all the way to 8 p.m. also at 6 p.m. you'll also receive any students that are registered for the Adult First Aid CPR AED or the Adult CPR AED. The only difference is that those students will leave either at 7:30 or 7 p.m. depending on which class they registered for. This means that during that 5-hour period, you will have 4 course records for that 5-hour time period. Okay. Blending learning stack classes, the course segment counts as scenarios, okay? Basically, it's only a video and skill set, no lecture, okay? And also no final scenarios. For blended learning CPR AED, you can see that it's the one on the bottom. It's from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m., and this is using the example that we had previously. And they will do the video and skill set, and at 7 p.m., after they finish their skill set, they will be leaving the class with no end of course scenarios. The same way with the Adult First Aid CPR AED. The difference is that they will leave at 7:30, and then the most comprehensive one, that would be the lay responder adult pediatric one, would leave at 8 p.m. It's very important that you understand that for lay responder there will be no end of course final scenarios, but for CPRO, you will have time, and it's scheduled for you to get the end of course scenarios. Jorge, anything you want to add there?
No, I just wanted to emphasize that normally for a 415 class or the full adult, infant, and child class, you would be teaching adult, child, and infant at the same time as you go through. But notice that when the class is stacked, if you have people that only wanted to be there for adults or only wanted to be there for that only wanted to be there for adults, and then you have also people that want to be there for adult and child, you would have to separate it out so that you do the infant components at the end. Notice that the adult and child components are so similar that the video segments teach it at the same time. So then all you have to do from, say, 7:30 to 8 p.m. if you're doing an evening blended learning class is really just go over the infant skills, because the adult and child skills were so similar, and you already went over that during the first portion of the class before you did first aid. And then also I wanted to emphasize that the blended learning class, you do not do end of course scenarios. However, in the professional rescue or blended learning class, you must do the end of course scenario.
Perfect. So you're right here. Okay, scenarios for stacked courses, because basically we're stacking multiple courses with each other. Scenarios should be given throughout the course. We're not going to wait until the end of the course to give them, because not everybody is enrolled in the same course. At the end of each stacked course, you will give the scenario to the entire group that is present at that time for that course. Later on, you'll see a more detailed outline about the stacked courses and the end of course scenarios, okay? Okay, so let's go into our first knowledge check. Do you give end of course scenarios in blended learning lay responder course?
No.
No.
No. No.
No.
And no.
No.
Perfect. That's correct. In blended learning lay responder at stack classes, you do not give final scenarios. However, in CPRO, blended learning course, you must have a final scenario. Okay. Jorge, you want to take this one?
Sure. So during the blended learning course, either lay or pro, are we going to lecture to the students?
No.
No.
Very good. So the answer is no. The blended learning course is designed so that you only show video and do the skills because they already did all the lecture stuff at home on their computer or at work on their computer. Do you show videos during the blended learning course?
Yeah.
Yes, you do.
Excellent. And you can either do the DVD or you could do it with the course presentation. There is a specific course presentation that you can download from Instructor's Corner that is specifically for the blended learning class that does not have any lecture points, but it has all the video segments that you need to show them during a blended learning class. We have that available for the lay respondent course, and we also have a blended learning course presentation available for the professional rescuer class as well. Is there?
Yeah.
Oh, and there we go. And I answered the question. So yes, there is a PowerPoint presentation for both the lay and pro class for blended learning. Thank you, Carmen.
All right, let's go. Thank you, Morgan. So regular stack classes, most of you might be very familiar with this. And basically, it's when inside the most comprehensive class that we're going to teach that day, we offer also different components for the public and the participants. So the class should be the most comprehensive class, should be the one Adult and Pediatric First Aid CPR AED, which is 5 hours and 23 minutes, and should run from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. with a 1-hour lunch. And then inside that one, we're going to stack Adult and Pediatric CPR AED only. And it would be 3 hours and 21 minutes, and that should run from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. In the first example, we have the adult-only first aid CPR AED, which is almost 5 hours with a 1-hour lunch, and into that one we added the adult CPR and AED. We are basically going to be stacking classes that are following in the same way that the instructor manual is structured. So you won't have first aid stacked with one of these classes because that would mean that you would have to go back and forth in the first into the manual. We don't want to do that. We want to keep the course going as the manual states it should go, the flow. Okay, so here we have an example of course segment times and scenarios. The offering combination would be adult first aid CPR AED and adult CPR and AED only. We would have from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. the adult CPR and AED and give them the scenario. The students that were enrolled only in the adult CPR AED would leave at 12 p.m. and then the students that were enrolled for the whole class, the more comprehensive class, would then go ahead and come back after lunch at 1 p.m. and stay for the first aid part and the scenarios. So in difference, the big difference here is that we're not doing the end of course scenarios at the end of the day. We're doing them at the end of the components. This is another example. In this case, we have adult and pediatric first aid CPR AED and adult and pediatric CPR AED. It would be the same situation. We would have the adult and pediatric CPR AED scenario at the end of the segment. Everybody that was only enrolled in that part of the class, meaning the adult pediatric CPR AED, would leave at 1 p.m. and then the students that were enrolled in the more comprehensive class would come back at 2 p.m. after lunch and we'll finish the class with the first aid, and at the end at 4 p.m. they would have the first aid scenarios, okay? Okay, so what time should the student leave if they are taking a stack adult and pediatric CPR AED. This is not a blended learning, people. Go ahead.
1 o'clock.
1. Around 1.
Yeah, it should be at 1 o'clock. Perfect. In this case, does the student do a scenario?
Yeah.
Yes, it.
Yes, they do. Excellent. Yes, they do. And when do they do it?
End of the module.
At the end of the just before
correct.
they leave.
At the end of the component. Correct. Correct. So we're doing good, people. Thanks for being here once again. Let's see. So we have an example here of the stack course for the community. And we're going to have Sally, Bob, and Alice, and Mike, and they need to keep their certifications current for their jobs. Even though all 4 participants will be sitting in the same classroom, they will be registered for different offerings. So you'll have 2 roster sheets, right? Sally and Bob will take adult CPR AED, and Alice and Mike will need to take the full adult first aid CPR AED course. Once you're done teaching the adult CPR AED and completing the skill assessments for everyone, then you'll give the adult CPR AED scenario. After that, Sally and Bob will go home, and you'll continue with the first aid portion with Alice and Mike, okay? And once you finish the first aid skill assessment and first aid scenario, the class will be complete. You will have 2 course rosters. Those are pre-printed, and you would grade them just as the example right here. In the case of Sally and Bob, they both succeeded and left early at the end of their component. So we add an S for successful, NS for not successful, and NE not evaluated. Very important. We only use NE at the beginning of the class if the person requests not to be evaluated and does not want. Jorge, could you cover me on that one, because I'm trying to translate them.
Yeah, there are some people who may want to audit the course, and they may realize that they can't do the skills, but they're like, oh, I want to sit in for the class anyway. So you can NE them for not evaluated, and then in the notes or comments you could put that they audit. Alternatively, if somebody has to leave the course because of an emergency, and I've had this happen where they have to leave because something happened to their family or whatever it might be, then you could put an NE for not evaluated, and then you could put in the notes that they left because of an emergency.
All right. Thank you so much, Jorge. I was running out of breath there. Okay.
No problem.
So we'll go to the knowledge check, and based on the above time and the stack class we just reviewed, what time would Sally and Bob go home? And they are in adult CPR AED only.
Yeah, 12 o'clock.
Well, that's correct, everyone. They would leave at 12 p.m. For course records, and this we're going to talk a little bit about course record procedures, specifically when we have full services. Full service, you won't need to have 2 separate rosters for each group or training. Okay. Basically, what we're going to do is in the part of the course record, we're going to put each and every component, and then we're going to put an E for enrolled in the components that the participant wanted to be evaluated and did enroll in. And then we're going to put an N for not evaluated if the person was not enrolled in that course. underneath, we put an S or an S if it's not successful, just normally how we would grade those classes.
Okay.
Okay, now let's check. Do you need separate course records for stacked full service classes?
No.
No.
No. Perfect.
I don't.
Perfect. No, you don't need separate course records. Good job, everyone. Okay. Final scenarios for classes that are not stacked, and this is very important. Final scenarios should be run at the course conclusion and not throughout the course. This is very important because if the class is not stacked, the instructor manual clearly states that we should run the end of course scenarios at the end of the day. Also, final scenarios for the lay responder course should be prompted by course participants. In the case of CPRO, for the professional rescuer, right, it should be prompted by the instructor. I know there were a lot of questions regarding that, but this is the direction that we're going for, okay? Prompting by course participants. Basically, the participants should find a partner, and the instructor should give each pair the appropriate scenario worksheet. So you could go into your instructor manual, page 71, and ensure you're using the correct scenarios for the components that you taught, okay?
Okay.
If more than one, go ahead.
Hello?
Hello?
We lost you.
Yeah, maybe the call dropped.
So we're all still on the line.
Nope, we lost them.
Yeah, we must have lost them.
Well, you know, I'm sure they'll log back in if we give them a second.
Yeah.
Hello? Can you hear me, guys?
Yeah, we're here.
Yeah. Okay. I totally lost everybody. I'm sorry, guys. Okay. So, where was I? Okay. So if more than one scenario is going to be used, have participants switch roles. It's not necessary for each participant to do each scenario as a responder. Very important, explain that this exercise is similar to the skill, but it's used to test the participant's knowledge. You should be circulating between groups, making observations, and any corrective feedback should be done at this time. Okay. So who is the prompter in lay responder final scenario?
Students. Students.
Correct. The participant is in the class. And who is the prompter in a CPRO final scenario?
Instructor.
The instructor. Beautiful. Okay. So when do you do the final scenario for adult CPR during the adult and pediatric first aid CPR AD regular class, not staff?
At the end of the class.
Of course.
Perfect. At the end of the conclusion of the course. So now we're going to go through attendance. Any questions you have regarding what we just talked about, guys?
Yeah, I have a question. Y'all going to put this where we could download it later, because I could not get on the website to get the teaching sheets.
Yes, so this will be available for download. We usually send it at the end of the month, but if you need it sooner than that, just email your training specialist and they'll get it out to you sooner.
Okay, George, this is Pat. All righty.
Thank you, Pat. And also, again, I just wanted to emphasize, you know, the end-of-course scenarios. One thing that I was confused about when I was learning how to do end-of-course scenarios was that I thought that, say you're only doing adult CPR AED in a lay responder course, I used to think that they would have to switch and have one person do the prompting for adult CPR AED and then the other person do the actual adult CPR skill, and then they would only get credit if they actually switched in adult CPR. So actually, the person who's prompting gets credit for the adult CPR skill the same way that the person doing the adult CPR gets credit. So just like Carmen said, they only have to switch if you're doing a different scenario. Like if you're moving into AED, they would switch. Or if you're moving to first aid, then that's when they would switch. So they all get equal credit as responder and prompter. They don't have to switch during the same scenario section. So are there any questions about the topics we covered?
Actually, I do have a question. For the professionals, is it the same thing when they're doing the AED and the other person doing compressions? Does the person doing compressions also get credit for AED, or you have to do it separate?
Correct. Correct. Okay. Yes. So if the instructor is the prompter there, responder 1 and responder 2 both get equal credit for whatever the scenario is. They don't have to switch around. That's a good question.
Yeah, we should add that one.
Yes. Any other questions? Okay, great. So I'll go ahead and take attendance now. I'm going to start with the people that were able to log in into the WebEx application. Go ahead and tell me, I'm just going to call out your name, and then you just tell me where in the division you are, if you're either in South Florida or North Central Florida, or if you're in Alabama or Georgia, or if you are in the Caribbean. So, Alejandro, I know that you are in South Florida.
Yes, sir.
South Florida. So, Alexis Selman.
Central Florida.
Oh, and if I call your name, you can go ahead and hang up the last thing that we're doing. Alan Saperstein, you are in South Florida. Denise Haro.
Georgia.
Thank you, Denise. Georgia. And then Joy Johnson.
Central/northern Florida.
Okay, North Central.
Thank you. I enjoyed it. See you next month.
See you next month.
Bye-bye.
And then Judy Backoff, I know that you are in South Florida.
Here's it goes.
Thank you, Judy. And then Linda Hill.
South Florida.
I know you're in South Florida. Thank you, Linda. And then Mike Russ, I know you're also in South Florida.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Nicole Goldstein, South Florida.
That's me.
Thank you, Nicole.
Thanks, George.
And then Susan Meadows.
In Alabama, George.
Thank you, Susan, from
Thank
Alabama.
You.
And then we have Terry Keith. I know you're in North Central. Thank you for writing it out on your login name. And Tom Bruziak, I know that you're in South Florida.
Right. And I had